Hello everybody, I'm Tone and welcome back to The Breakdown. Today I wanted to first off talk about the football. As you can see, Collingwood jumper. I love my beloved Magpies, and I just remember watching back over my first video, Richmond flag hanging behind me. Pay no mind to that. But while thinking about that, we'll just do a shout out for my friend Lockie B. I've mentioned him before, but we did that video, my first video, at his home, and he's a very avid Richmond supporter, and for good reason. Richmond have been very good the last few years, but I'm not a Richmond supporter, very much a Collingwood supporter. So, but I wanted to talk a little seriously about the football and essentially every other sporting code, Olympics, all sorts of things sent into chaos by this coronavirus ordeal. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But chaos from this is not necessary, and we've got to be grounded about it. It's interesting to just see how things are unfolding, especially perception, people's perception about what's happening, what it looks like. It's very interesting. For me, especially, I look around myself all of the time, and I look at how people interact. I look at people's reactions to things. Essentially, that's why this channel exists, because I see where things fall over. I see where things are improving, and so I want to bring my perspective of what I've observed, especially, just to, I guess, like I said, unmuddy the water. Don't want to muddy the water, want to clear things up for people so they can maybe have a new perspective, get a new perspective from someone else. That's what I'm all about. That's what I'm always trying to do. And it's just interesting that Victoria, for example, going into lockdown, or essentially lockdown, and there's special procedures being put in place so that people who don't have stuff from the supermarket yet can go and get it from the supermarket. But it tells us a little bit about being prepared for the unexpected. Now, there was already evidence to suggest that panic was going, or some level of panic was going to increase. There was already evidence to suggest that it would be a good idea to start stocking things in pantries, fridges, freezers, just in case. The early evidence of that, of course, was the toilet paper disappearing, which, for my mind, still boggles me. I mean, you'd worry about food, you'd worry about other incidentals far more important than toilet paper, for obvious reasons. But that kind of reaction, panic reaction, chaotic reaction, fearful reaction, was a trigger for me to just not go silly about storing things, but to just go and get stuff that I knew would be enough. I didn't go and provide myself for 1 year, just enough, partly because maybe the reaction was too much, and essentially that just means that we're at risk of not having what we needed because of the panic reaction. But it also could be that something does happen and this does get serious enough that maybe we really do need that stuff. Not just because of the reaction, but because of the reality. But it brought me to think about the chaos in supermarkets and people's reactions towards each other, whether it be from other countries and all of those sorts of things. Fear overtook a lot of people. We talked about this in the previous video. Chaos and fear and all those things are not based in truth at all. In fact, they're foundationless. They are shifting sand. And I hate to think about the anxiety that has caused a lot of people, perhaps even the elderly and those that have their healthcare cards, which the supermarkets have allowed for so that people can still go and get stuff that they haven't already got because they wouldn't maybe go out very often to get those things. And the supermarkets are cleared out by those that panicked early, and also the more able-bodied people that went a little bit on the late side to get the things that they want. But the chaos that this seems to have caused, I mean, we do know that these things are possible, and the trigger signs, the warning signs are usually early enough that if we're awake to what's going on around us, we'll see it and we'll react accordingly. And like I'm not sure if I mentioned this before, but a couple of weeks ago, I started to slowly get a few items that I know that would be handy just in case supermarkets are closed for a month. But I'm not expecting it to be for a year. And I most certainly didn't go and get stuff that would constitute several weeks worth of wages and fill my house up to the brim with stuff. That to me that to me is fear, and I'm not going to be dragged into that. And we were talking about that in the previous video, not being dragged in to fearful reaction, into chaos thinking from the outside world. Just have enough things at home, have the right people around you at home, have the right atmosphere at home, have the safe place at home. Now, one reason why the television here isn't on too much about news and those sorts of things, because the news and the media, they bring chaos. The other day, saw the message from the Prime Minister, and talking about this is what we're moving to, this is the next level that we're moving to. We might have to close schools, we may have to close, and the Premier also, Daniel Andrews, talking about needing to close schools, needing to close supermarkets, needing to reduce the contact that we have with other people in the outside world, reducing the number of people that can meet in one place. So, of course, the sporting codes and that, which we talked about before, is impacted. After that, I really like to observe the reactions to these things. I went to the supermarket. I wanted to see what would happen, and not to the extent that I was expecting. Thankfully, thankfully not to the extent that I was expecting. But there was enough to show that it had an effect. And of course, the supermarkets immediately after that, announcing that they will do this special strategy to allow the elderly and those that probably need a little bit of extra assistance to be able to get the things that they might need. They'll restock the supermarkets, and then those people can go and get their stuff also. Shows that the reaction that I was expecting, they also had that foresight enough to go, it's possible. there's a run on the supermarkets that's very possible. We need to put in a contingency plan so that the vulnerable in our society can still get what they need. But that's all because of chaos. The chaos, the potential chaos, and the craziness that we already have seen, starting off with the toilet paper. Don't be drawn into that. That's what I'm really wanting to share with you. That's what I'm wanting to encourage you. Don't get drawn into that chaos, but instead look for the warning signs, look for the trigger signs, be a little prudent, be wise about your decisions and about what you are seeing. Open up your perspective and be more prepared. And don't allow something that just suddenly happens to make you jump. Like, that's not wise at all, and it's certainly not suggesting that you've got a perception that's helping you navigate life very well if that's your reaction to every little thing. Not calling the coronavirus a little thing. I am saying, though, that there were warning signs, there were pieces of evidence that would indicate we're moving towards what we're at now. And it's important to look back on that and say, okay, there's evidence to base this opinion on, there's evidence to suggest that that's correct. We need to be more prepared. And we can apply that to everything. We really can. We can apply that to seeing warning signs within our relationships and our interactions in daily life after this coronavirus thing is gone. And I'm confident it will be gone, quite possibly gone just as quickly as it appeared. That I'm quite confident in. So I just wanted to talk about that, just a general discussion, my general thoughts on it. Ultimately, it's important that we take care of ourselves. It's important that we take care of each other. And one last thing that I would ask, this is a question for you to ponder. If you saw the supermarket being almost empty and you went there perhaps a little bit at the late side of being able to get things because the supermarket's pretty cleared out, and you had a list of the really important items that you needed to get, and at that time it was fairly quiet because the craziness hadn't fully set in yet, and yet maybe the prudent people had already been stocking up, and there were only 2 packets of rice. There was only 2 packets of toilet paper. There was only a little bit of flour, a little bit of pasta, and yet there was another person or another couple of people in the supermarket clearly doing the same thing as you. What would you do? Would you take all of what you knew you were there to get? Or would you take some so that you had some, but leave some there for those that you know probably are doing the same thing as you, and if you took it all, they don't get any? That answer that you have within yourself to the question I just asked will give you a good insight into your thinking, and I mean your first reaction to that. And really, what would your decision be? Not what you think it ought to be. What would you do? I was put into that position, and it was a wake-up call for me to really, what do I really think? What is my actual action in this time? and I was pleasantly surprised, but I saw a lot of evidence where it wasn't present in other situations that I could see around me. And I think a lot of the reason why I reacted one way and others reacted in a different way was because my foundation is stable and I wasn't afraid. I was just there being prudent, careful, and getting my things in order. I wasn't being chaotic and frantic and fearful. And it showed me again the value of this frame of mind, of this way of thinking. So I offer you that question. I really encourage you to think about it, because the answer can sort of give you an idea of where you are at on your journey in your life and how you may tackle future decisions. So I just wanted to share that with you. I hope that it's been a good conversation. Please let me know what you think. Yeah, like and subscribe, and check out Lockie B's channel. And yeah. Hello everybody. I hope that this video has been good for you. I hope that it's been helpful for you. I hope that it's given you something to think about. I really enjoy interacting in this way. I really look forward to your comments. I also wanted to poke a little fun at myself. I did promise that there would be a little bit of humour in what I bring, and so far the stuff I've been talking about is quite serious. But I noticed while going back and looking at my previous video wearing the red shirt that I recorded that backwards. You'll be able to see that the writing is backwards. Like I said, this is a learning process, and I used the front camera on my phone, and of course it's recorded in reverse. And I thought that was quite amusing, but uploaded it anyway. But I wanted to draw something just to close out this video. I wanted to draw on something. We might think that we've got something to offer. We might think that we have some value to offer. But we also need to think about some other things that could be a little more subtle, and just make sure that the things we're sharing are the right way around and that they're not backwards. Even if the format in which we're offering it seems a little backwards, we need to be open to the audience that we are speaking to. Now, we have to think about how they might perceive it as well. We need to be very careful about that. And I just thought that it was quite amusing that it's recorded in reverse, and how we're always learning. Just wanted to share that. You'll be able to go back and look at the previous video and you'll see what I mean. It's in reverse. I found it very amusing. Also, it is also very helpful if we can feel comfortable enough to poke fun at our little mistakes and our little, the things that we missed. They didn't cause a big drama for anybody, but, you know, we poke fun at ourselves rather than worrying about other people that might poke fun at us. If we're able to poke fun at ourselves, laugh at our silly little mistakes, that will help us also keep a nice, level, steady foundation for ourselves. Because if we're not laughing, we might as well be crying. My mum used to like to say that. So, yeah. Just wanted to share that. Like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Check out Lockie B's channel also. And most of all, avoid the chaos at every chance. Keep your foundations strong. Keep working towards finding what is truth, not your truth, actual truth. Look for that. Seek that, and you'll definitely find it eventually. And it's a process. But be looking for that, and things will continue to improve for you, become more stable for you, and you will have great impact on other people around you also. And of course, everyone will win. Thank you so much. We'll see you in the next videos. Bye-bye. Yeah, oh wow. Is that backwards? That's backwards.